intuitive. So today's message is going to be very different. I'm outside. I've been filming outside more. I don't know what Spirit's been telling me to film outside more. And I kind of want to talk about today what Spirit's been putting on my heart about empaths and what does it mean to be an empath and how who's going to save the empath. I've been hearing that a lot in my head, and I've been getting messages from Spirit, and maybe I'm channeling this for someone in specific who's an empath. As an empath myself, if you guys don't know what an empath is basically somebody who basically can feel people's emotions at a deep level. It's actually more than just that, but that's kind of the basic definition of an empath is you can feel feel people's energies at a psychic level. You can feel the emotions and you take on the emotions, and you're typically a healer. You typically people are very drawn to you. And I know for me that has always been my life being a reader. People have always been drawn to me, but I've been channeling this specific message on being an empath, on who's going to save the empath, who's going to be an empath for the empath, right? A lot of times the empath, real empaths, because I'm also going to talk about basically how there's a lot of people who call themselves an empath, but they don't really have the true empathy of an empath. They just call themselves an empath because that's what they feel, the emotions, but they don't necessarily um, have the exact empathy for an empath. So I'm not going to say that they're not empathic, but maybe they're underdeveloped empaths, right? Sorry if I'm sweating. It is very hot in California. Don't mind me, but yeah, so I've been channeling like who's going to be a light for the empath. And basically for me, I know from my experience, like I've always been a healer. I've always helped a lot of people. But when it came to me, it's like nobody was really there for me. So I know for me personally, like, and for somebody I'm channeling, it's like empaths, we tend to get the short end of the stick a lot, right? Because we're put on this earth to help people, to navigate people, especially if you're a spiritual advisor like me, you're a star seed. You know, I don't like to throw out those definitions, but you know what I mean. If when you typically have a good heart and you like to help people, we tend to attract broken people, and we're meant to be a guide for those people. But who is going to be a guide for us? Right? A lot of times we're meant to be the catalyst for people's awakenings. We're meant to help them heal. We're meant to help them get to where they need to go. But what about us? A lot of times we get the unhealed version of people, and that's the person that we encounter, and it's like the other, once they heal, they get to go off and they get to be healed, the healed version with somebody else, and the other person gets to experience that healed version of them, right? A lot of times empaths, we get the short end of the stick a lot. Like I said, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to partnerships, friendships, whatever it is, we tend to get the short end of the stick a lot because we're it's like we're ordained to help people, right? But we, a lot of times, again, people will come to us a lot of times only when they have problems, right? Only when they need something. But when we need someone or something, a lot of times we don't have that option, or we don't have that opportunity, that full support. For the amount of energy that we give out, a lot of times we don't get that energy back, right? So I was been channeling this message of who's gonna save the empath, right? I feel like a lot of empaths collectively right now are maybe thinking about this. Maybe there's someone in specific that I'm channeling. Maybe you're an empath and you could have been recently thinking, you know, who's going to save me? Who's going to be a light to me? Who is going to help me in my time of need? Right? It's more so like who is going to save me? Who's going to help me? Who's going to save the empath? And a lot of times the reality is it's not a lot of people, if not if anybody, right? It's a lot of times we're on our own. We have to kind of figure out, navigate our life. We have to navigate our life, our story by ourselves while we be the light for a lot of other people. And I feel like it's very kind of an unfair like deal, right? Because it's like who's going to be there for us versus how many times have we been there for a lot of people. We can put, for example, 1,000,000 hours on helping people, but how many people have been there for us? You know, it's very tricky. So I've been channeling this, and I'm not pulling cards. I'm just being a messenger on who's going to help the empath, right? Who is going to be an empath for the empath? Who's going to save the empath? Who's going to navigate the empath on their journey? Who's going to be an empath for the empath? And I feel like a lot of times, again, we get lost impacts with trying to save a lot of people, that we sometimes lose our light, we lose our purpose at times, or we lose our direction, not our purpose, because we know our purpose is to help people, but a lot of times we lose our navigation trying to help somebody else who a lot of times would not help us back, you know and I just keep hearing the message: who's going to save the empath, who's going to help the empath, right? Who is going to be a light to the empath? So I definitely feel like there's somebody out there that's asking this question. And I wanted to talk about briefly how there's a lot of people, and I think a lot of it has to do with TikTok, where there's a lot of people that claim that they're an empath, or they like to say that they're an empath just because they feel people's emotions, when there's more to it. It's more so an ability, it's more so not something that you can just turn off, right? Because a lot of people, they can say that they're an empath, but to be an empath, you have to feel people's emotions, you have to feel people on a deep level. It's not just surface level energy. So I think a lot of times people misconstrue what an empath is, and they just think, "Oh, I have these emotions, I'm an empath," but it's more than just doing that. You have to it's like people are drawn to you. People have this You have this light about you, that you're meant to guide people. You're not just meant to feel people's emotions, you're also meant to help, you're meant to guide people. But it's tricky because a lot of times a lot of people, they get stuck, right? They don't know like what they should do or how they should do it. Sorry guys, I'm sweaty right now, but yeah, I've been channeling that for the collective. Like, what does it mean? Like, again, to be an empath. Let me zoom out. Um, who's gonna save the empath? Who's gonna save us, right? And I feel like, again, it's like we get the short end of the stick a lot, because we're always there to help people, but who's there to help us? Who's there to navigate us? Who's there to get the healed version of us? I think empaths, again, we attract a lot of broken people. Yes, we attract a lot of damaged people, narcissists, unfortunately, energy vampires. But it's like, when will we have the opportunity to have somebody who's healthy, who's healed, somebody who other people get to experience the healed version of, while we get to experience the unhealed version of that person? So that's what I've been channeling for the collective. Like, basically, what does it mean to be an empath? But most importantly, who's going to save the empath? Because a lot of us already know what an empath is, but who's going to save us? Who's going to be a light for us? And I feel like there's someone in specific, maybe you're an empath watching this, or whoever that will stumble upon this video. You may be asking yourself, why am I getting the short end of the stick? How do I navigate this? How do I be a better person for myself? And I feel like a lot of times, again, it's that energy of trying to balance it out. But at the end of the day, we're an empath. We're gonna always attract damaged people until our contract is over on this earth. And I feel like that's what we need to really realize for ourselves when being an empath, is like, we have to understand that this is something we signed up for, but it's not fair because we get the unhealed version of people. We don't get to see the healed version. Not that we don't get to see it, but we'll get the unhealed version of a person, and the other person gets to enjoy the fruits and the labor of that healed person. You see what I mean? So that's why I feel like it's not very fair. Looking at the comments. Okay. So I don't know if that's just a bot, but yeah, guys, just wanted to be on it for a bit. I'm gonna also start doing collective readings, on more so like the zodiac sign readings. I want to start doing them live, to help, like, I guess, boost up my algorithm as well, and kind of break out of my comfort zone. But yeah, I wanted to talk about that briefly again, the empath abilities, on what does it mean. Like I said, who's gonna save us? Who's gonna save the healer? Who's gonna be a healer for the healer? Who's gonna be a light to the light? You know what I mean? So that's what I'm picking up on. Um, yeah. So that's what I have, guys. I just wanted to come on here for a bit and chat about that, and briefly talk about my experience as an empath, and what does it mean to be an empath, and be a light to people. Hey, how are you? Yeah, so that's basically what I talked about. So basically, if you guys are coming in now, I did talk about it, briefly about 10 minutes about what an empath is and kind of how who's gonna save the empath and how we have gotten the short end of the stick a lot and kind of what it means to be an empath, a true empath. Because a lot of people say they're an empath, but they don't really. I always say this, and this may be a different comparison. It's like just because you get a reading does not mean that you're psychic. Just because you get a reading does not mean that you're spiritual, right? Just because you do certain things does not mean that all of a sudden you fit the criteria for whatever that is, okay? So I think that's a spot or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, guys, just wanted to come on here for a bit. I will be doing probably Scorpio next and Gemini reading. I'll probably do it on live. I'll be start doing all the other signs live too as well. Just wanted to come on here for a bit. Um, hey Sage, I think that's a bot. But yeah, let me guys know what you guys think down below. What you think about this topic about empaths, and again, how can we fix that? Which I'll probably talk about that in the next video. But I wanted to really just dive deep into it. Like again, kind of like the shadow aspect of an empath, right? It's like we're always seen as a light, but there's a shadow aspect to everything. So we need to kind of also realize that and balance that out. Okay. So I'm about to get off here, guys. I will see you guys later. I'm gonna probably start doing the other zodiac sign readings. But yeah, guys, if you're new to my channel, also subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.